Hi, my name is Amanda Hughes, and I'm here today to discuss social media policies and healthcare facilities and some of their pros and cons. Now, before I get started, I'll kind of explain what I mean by social media. You hear Facebook, Twitter, email. These are just a little bit of examples. I'm going to be using a lot more Facebook because Facebook, obviously, according to the graph, leads the way in social media outlets. And so that just kind of gives you an idea. Now, on that sense, Facebook. Do you have it? I know I do. And from day to day, you can see me catching up on all the latest gossip from my friends and family as if it was my local daily newspaper. So what could be so wrong about this? Social media is out there. We have even dating online is socially acceptable these days. So what's so wrong with me venting about my day at work? I see my friends do it all the time. Well, I'm a healthcare professional, and so it's not a good idea for me to be having emotional outbursts on these social media outlets about my issues at work. Why, you might ask? Because of these social media policies. Policies put in place by my company that protects not only the company and the patients, but yes, also protects me. So what are the pros? Well, first and foremost, it protects the patients. And what I mean by that is HIPAA laws. And for those of you that don't know what HIPAA is the Privacy Act put forth for patients, which basically states that if you come into my office and you give me information, I cannot legally release that information without your consent. If so, then I could be reprimanded by fine, by termination of job, or even by jail time. Second, it protects the company. The company is the one that physically puts these policies in place, and they openly discuss it with their employees, which is separating them from those HIPAA laws. It's stating that, no, we told you that if you do this, that you're going to be in trouble. And in turn, it won't backfire on our company as a whole because you did this on your own, knowing that it was the wrong thing to do. And finally, it does protect me. You hear about things like cyberbullying in schools, middle schools, high schools. It's not just in schools anymore. It's also for adults as well. When it comes to office gossip, and I'm sure everyone's heard of that, you might not hear it. You can easily take yourself out of the situation. You can just let it go in one ear and out the other. But when you're talking about social media, it's out there for the whole world to see, and it's there usually every day when you see it. These policies put in place state that, if you see something that a coworker has placed about you, you have the right to report that, and it will be taken care of. Because what employee wants to get online and see a comment posted about them and their work ethic? It makes you feel incompetent as an employee. It also makes the work environment hostile because you feel outcasted by your coworkers. And why would you want to stick around in that type of environment? So these policies are put there to protect you so that situations like that don't occur and you always feel protected by the company. Also, by putting the policies out there, it forces employees to step back and take a look at their own actions and how they're doing things. Like in the article I read, 5 tips to guide your hospital social media policy by Gianna Shaw. I saw where she had put, for employers to keep it positive, keep it encouraging. Don't just tell employees what not to do. Explain to them what are best actions and what's good to do. An example would be, these policies out there kind of make you have to take a step back and look and say, what is the audience that I'm trying to relay this message to? And what is the message that I'm trying to convey to them? And is it appropriate for work? some of the cons that might be placed with these social media policies are mainly from employees questioning, does it violate my First Amendment right to the freedom of speech? I mean, if a person can hold a sign on the side of the road, then why can't I speak my mind on Facebook when I'm outside of work hours? This makes no sense. Well, it just kind of puts into place that, as a professional, regardless of where you go, you have to stay professional. It's kind of like you look at the President of the United States, just because, he's at home with his family and, he's not out in the middle of the press, he still has to be professional because somebody somewhere out there may see him and question his ability as a president. Also, it might give you the idea, con-wise, as Big Brother, like the idea of being watched. We're watching you even though you're not at work, and it draws the line of like, well, when am I separated from work? Because at some point I have to get my mindset out of that setting of what I do every day in order to keep my sanity. So some of these questions get asked quite often, and are they going too far? Are they crossing these lines? Well, in my opinion, to sum it all up, no, they're not crossing these lines. Healthcare facilities have put these policies in place to protect us, and that's exactly what they do. They protect the patients' right to privacy of their information, and they protect the company themselves so that we will continue to have healthcare facilities, as well as they protect the employees. Do I agree that they should be clearer? Yes, I agree that these policies should have clearer lines drawn as to what can be said. That way general information doesn't get construed as, oh, you're breaking policy, when really, you haven't broken anything. But that's kind of my opinion. They haven't gone too far yet, but there's still that possibility. And thank you for listening to my speech. I hope the information that I gave you was something different and kind of opened your eyes to the day-to-day issues that I deal with. Thank you.